Hello, welcome or welcome back to the YarnNYarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. In today's video I thought I would chat about my making plans, or my making priorities I should say, I think is probably a better way to phrase it, for the rest of 2023. We are in the final quarter, the push towards the end of the year, and my thoughts at this time of the year always start to turn towards our 12 cast-ons make along. So if you are new to the channel, over the last few years I have hosted a cast-on party at the end of each year going into the beginning of the new year, and I have invited people to cast on with me as many projects as they like, from 1 up until 12. I try to cast on 12 projects to set myself up for my year's worth of making, and of course that gives a big boost to my works in progress count at that time of year. So before I get caught up in the cast on frenzy, I thought it'd be quite nice, now we've sort of got a few months left of the year, to try and take stock of what I have already on the needles and try and set some priorities in terms of what I think realistically I might be able to finish before the end of the year. So yeah, in this video I thought I'd give you a little bit of a tour of my works in progress. I've got 18 projects on the needles at the moment, and what I think I might realistically be able to finish. Obviously I have no idea what the next few months will bring. I am about to start a new adventure in that I am going back to work part-time. That sounds a bit like I'm not working. I'm self-employed at the moment, but I've also recently accepted a contract where I'll be working part-time for a local charity, doing some admin for them. So that's going to be a big change to my routine. I don't think it will have a huge impact on my crafting, because I tend to do most of my crafting in the evenings. However, I'm not sure. Obviously I'm going to be doing yarn and yarn stuff, and I'm going to be working in an office outside of the home as well. So I'm not sure how much that's going to impact me in terms of like my motivation and my energy levels and that kind of stuff. But so far this year I have had a look and I've managed to finish about 20 projects, I think, if my calculations have served me correctly, which means I'm finishing about 3 a month. So given we're a couple of weeks into October, I'm figuring that I may have the capacity to therefore finish maybe 9 projects, and I'm going to push that up to 10 because that's a nice round number. So of the 18 projects that I've got on my needles at the moment, I think I'm going to try and pick 10 projects that I think I've got a likelihood of finishing and try to prioritise those. Now, these goals that I set myself are not set in stone. I think it's pretty naive of me to think I won't cast on anything else before the end of the year, because if you follow the channel for a while again, you know I play my little sort of dice game to set my making plans for each month, and I still plan to do that, and there's a possibility that new things might pop on the needles. But if I can, I'm going to try and pick these 10 projects and push through and prioritise them, and hopefully get some things off the needles so that I can start the new cast-ons with as few projects on the needles as possible. I made a little list of all of my works in progress, and I've actually got 8 sweaters on the needles, so I know that it's not going to be possible for me to finish 8 sweaters by the end of the year. I've got 3 shawls, and then I've got a couple of pairs of socks, a couple of pairs of gloves, a blanket which it's not going to get finished, let's be realistic, and I've also got a little knitted gnome on the go as well. I think it's probably more realistic of me to choose maybe 2 sweaters to finish, or 3. Let's go for 3 sweaters to finish. The good thing about this point in the year with regards to some of my bigger projects is, for the majority of them I have, you know, been working on them at various points in the year. So there are a couple of things, a couple of the sweaters, the bigger projects, which are fairly close to completion. So yeah, I think 3 sweaters is reasonably realistic, and then I've got a couple of shawls that are close to being finished, so I think I'm going to put those on the project priorities, and then I think I'll pick 5 of the smaller projects which I think I can get off of the needles. I think I will share some of the projects with you probably all of them if we have time, if you don't mind. I think it'd be quite nice, and if I can find them, because some of them might be downstairs. I'm up in my craft room, my attic room in the house, and I've got a bunch of my project bags behind me and surrounding me, but there might be a couple of my current sort of priority projects for October that are downstairs, so I'll try and share as many as I can, so it's not just me talking at you, but there will be some knitting to look at as well. So let's do this. Shall I go in, yeah, I think I might pull up my Ravelry projects page and might go in order, oldest project to newest project, and then we can have a look at them. I'm trying to talk really slowly as I pull up my project page. Should have been better prepared, shouldn't I? Okay. If you have followed the channel for a while, it will be no surprise to you that my oldest work in progress, still currently on the needles, are my Latvian mitts. So let me pull those out of the pile if I can find them. Okay, I've decided to change the camera angle slightly because all of my project bags are behind me. It's just going to be a pain to move the camera in and out all the time, so you get to see my messy fibre corner behind me. But here we go. So Latvian mitts. This project has been on the needles. I wonder if I've got a start date on my Ravelry project page. Let me just publicly shame myself. 4th of January 2019 for a pair of mittens. But they're a super complicated pair of mittens. They're a beautiful pair of mittens, but there are 4 colours, I think, in this. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colours in the mitten pattern, and for most rows in this pattern you are working 4 of the colours. Although they're not a large project, they're a very slow project. And I think it's super unrealistic for me to think I'm going to get these finished by the end of the year. They're knit on 2mm needles as well, so it's a very tight gauge. It's very hard on my hands, and I think with the best will in the world, I probably just don't have the motivation to get those done by the end of the year, which is a shame. Maybe I will try and add a few more rows to that. I mean, that's the first mitt that I flashed at you then. So since 2019 I've managed 3/4 of a mitten. And yes, as you might know, I don't work on all of these projects constantly. Some of them go into hibernation for months at a time, and that's definitely a victim of that. Yeah, I just know that that one will not be one of my priorities. Okay, let's look at what's next on the list. Okay, so we have a similar tale to share for the next project, and any guesses out there? I bet you can guess, or I bet many of you will be able to guess what my second oldest project on the needles is, and it is in fact the Dude sweater, which is a project that I cast on in September 2019. The Dude is a pattern by Andrea Rangel. It's in a basket next to me, and the basket is covered with knitted toys at the top, so I'm not going to drag the Dude out. Let me just share a picture from my Ravelry project page. So the Dude is a big cardigan project which I've had on the needles, and it's meant to be for James, and obviously I've had it on the needles for 4 years at this point, and I knit quite a lot of that project. It's a 1x1 rib, and it's colour work, as you can see, so it was not the easiest of knitting. And I got to the point where I pretty much finished the project, and James tried it on, and the sleeves were way too big, and realistically the body's way too big, so I really need to go back to the drawing board for that. But I've really stubbornly had that stuck on my works in progress for all this time. I think what I really need to do is frog the whole thing and recast on. Maybe that'll be something that I will do for the 12 cast-ons this year. I think I'll keep it in the active works in progress pile for now, but again, it's not going to be a priority. It's not going to get done. I'm laughing at myself, at my own foolishness. So yeah, those 2 oldest projects are going to probably be hanging around for at least another year, if not more. Please tell me I'm not alone. Please tell me you have projects like that are tucked away that you really kind of intend to get back to, but you keep putting off for one reason or another. Okay, let's move swiftly on to the next project on the list. It's a pair of socks that I was self-designing, and they started out as a gift for my sister, who has a fondness for giraffes. And my sister asked me a good couple of years ago, let me just see, let's again shame us here for, 2020 this project was cast on, and she asked me to make her some giraffe inspired socks. So I self-designed a pattern and I knit a sock. I sent it off to my sister. She lives right across the other side of the UK from me. We're not quite as east and west as you can get, but pretty close. So I don't get to see her very often because it's quite a long drive, or at least a long drive for the UK. My sister has 4 kids, so it's very hard for her to get to us. We haven't had transport in the last few years, so yeah, it's just very hard for us to get together. But I knit her a sock. I sent it off to her. I hadn't closed up the toe. I sent it to her and asked her to try it on for fit and then send it back to me with any sort of comments on as to whether the sock needed to be longer or shorter, or etc, etc. She tried it on, she said it fit okay, and never sent it back to me. So this project kind of went on hold for ages. She still hasn't sent the sock back to me. It's probably likely that it's got lost in the chaos of her home with 4 boys. I think a couple of years ago I decided to finish these socks up but make them for myself instead, so they weren't hanging around. However, when I tried this on, this is the second sock that I was knitting for my sister, I think I found it slightly tight around the foot, the ankle sort of part. In my wisdom, I decided I needed to make a slightly bigger sock, which meant charting out the design all over again. And I got as far, obviously, as knitting a leg. So I've knit 3 partial socks at this point. Obviously, I've got 2 of them here. And I think I just got a bit sick of the sight of them. But also didn't want to give up on them because, you know, I've done loads of knitting on this project. So, yeah, I think it's probably time for me to finish or frog these, isn't it? You know, they've been hanging around for ages. A pair of socks. There's no urgency for them because, you know, my sister didn't bother to send the first sock back, so these are going to be for me now. And it's not like I need socks, but yeah, they're sort of like my little nemesis, and it'd be quite nice to finish just this fun little design that I came up with myself. I think I'm going to put this on the priority list. Finish or frog the giraffe socks, one way or another. Let's get those off of my project list. Next up are another pair of socks. These are the Selbu socks, which is a pattern designed by Skein Knits, and I cast these on in December 2020 as part of my 12 cast-ons, and they're still on the needles. It's a lovely design, and this is how far I've got because I'm using the same West Yorkshire Spinners colour in my giraffe socks and in my Selbu socks. I picked these up I think at the beginning of this year and misread the pattern and had to frog a bunch of work that I'd done and put these back in the project bag in a sort of fit of pique. And these haven't come out again, so I still do really love the design. I'm just a little bit out of love with them just because they haven't gone smoothly. But I feel like probably, as with the giraffe socks, it's time to finish or frog these, isn't it? I really want to finish them because the pattern was kindly gifted to me as well. But yeah, I don't know whether now is the right time. I feel like when I picked these up at the beginning of the year, I really enjoyed knitting them. I always love a bit of colour work, I always do. It's really just such a joy to watch the motifs and the patterns emerge. But I think just having that issue with the pattern kind of gave me a little bit of a sour taste for these. No fault of the design or anything like that, just my silliness in not concentrating on what the pattern said. I think finish or frog for the Selbu socks too, so I'm going to put those on the priority list. I mean, socks, even the 2 socks that I've got, which are a little bit more in depth because I'm following charts, they really don't take long, so there's no reason that I can't get those finished by the end of the year if I put my mind to it, I think. So 2 pairs of socks are the first 2 projects on my 10 priorities for the remainder of the year. Let's have a look on my Ravelry queue and see what we've got going on next. What's next? Okay, Love Note. So this is a spin to knit project. excuse me, because I'm not sitting in my normal position. I'm usually resting my back against the wall here, and yeah, a bit more fidgety sat here. I started this in December 2021, so this project's been on the needles for a couple of years, except it hasn't even really gotten onto the needles yet, because I have recently finished spinning my yarn for this project. I finished back in July, in the Tour de Fleece month, or just after maybe, and I haven't yet cast on the love note, so there's nothing really to share with you, except that it is, I think, one of my priority projects for October. I've forgotten what I meant to be doing this month. I do have a little list of the things that are in my making plans. Yeah, my head's all over the place because I'm starting this new job soon, or next week in fact, as I'm recording this. There's been a bunch of paperwork and stuff to do for that. So yeah, my brain's a bit scattered, and we're heading off to see James's parents for a long weekend as well. So lots going on as always. So yeah, love note. I think it's unrealistic, given that I haven't cast it on yet, that I will get it finished. This will be my second love note, however, and I do know that they knit up quite quickly. I think I'm not totally discounting this, but I don't think I'm actually going to put it on my priority list. I think this might be on the backup list, the reserve list, let's call it the reserve list. So if I do manage to, by some miracle, finish all of the 10 projects that I want to concentrate on, I think the love note might be the one that then becomes a priority. But yeah, I think it's probably unlikely, but yeah, love note is the stretch goal, the reserve. Love note's on the reserve list. Next up is another sweater. Well, it's a t-shirt, and this is the Sea Glass tee, which is a pattern by Wool and Pine, I think. I'll correct myself on the screen if I'm wrong. And this I cast on for 12 cast-ons 2021, and it actually got cast on in January 2022. And I have the sort of top part of the sweater done, the yoke done, and I've just started knitting on the body of this. So here I've done the sleeves because I'm just doing this the short sleeve version, and I've done the first couple of inches of the body. These rows are fairly slow going in that it's 4-ply yarn and it's alternating colours for each row. Although I'm probably halfway through the project, there's a lot of knitting still to go. The other thing that I need to do is actually I'm planning to rip back to where I started the body, because the way that I was alternating my yarns, I changed it up a little bit, and I'm starting to get almost like larger bands of colour down here as opposed to sort of smaller stripes of colour up here, and I wasn't a fan of how that sort of changed. However, it is quite an addictive knit. Like once you get into it, just changing the colours is really fun, and I think it's going to be a really lovely sweater once it's finished. I'm kind of torn. I'm torn. I think I'm going to put that on the maybe for now. No, let's put it on the list. Let's put it on the list. Let's be decisive. So I think my Sea Glass is one that I'm going to put on my priority list, one of my 10 projects that I hope to get finished, because I think that's a real possibility. We've got 3 months left, although I won't be working on it this month. I will try and squeeze it on next month. Let's hope the dice rolls are kind, because I really think there's a good chance that with November, December making, I could get that finished if I'm able to add it onto my projects list. So yeah, Sea Glass is the third project going on to my priorities. I know what I'm doing with my hands, waving them around a lot. It's my indecision. It's having weird effects on me. Right, okay, Astra vest. Handspun Astra is the next project on the list, and this is definitely on my priority list. I am working on it this month. I have started working on it this week, and I just have, it's still quite a lot of knitting, but I have knit the sort of body, or at least the body from the underarm to the bottom. That's done. You knit that in the round. I have split for the front and the back, and I've almost finished the front now. I've got the sort of second half of the neck shaping to do for the front of the vest, and then of course I've got the back to knit up, and then I've got the neckline and the arm sort of ribbing to add. There's no sleeves, it's a vest, and I'm fairly confident, she says, given that I'm about to start my new job and things will probably get quite busy, but I'm fairly confident that I will get that finished this month. I worked on it for one evening so far, and I've managed to get a fair way through what I needed to do for the front. Astra vest in my lovely Eldenwood Craft sheepy bag, oops, is going to be going on the list. So that's 2 sweaters on my priority list now, and I said I was going to pick 3, didn't I? So we shall see. Maybe it'll end up being 4. I've got to try and be fairly ruthless with this, because otherwise I'll end up just having 18 projects and it won't be a priority list. Okay, and just bear that in mind, you can only pick 1 more sweater. Next project is my Wildflower shawl, which I think is one of the... oh no, I do have it. So this project is really close to being finished, so it's definitely going on the priority list. I've only got this much yarn left, so it's hardly any at all. It's actually part of the October making plans maybe list at the moment. I've got a YouTube vote going on, and I'm going to leave that vote open for the next week or so. So if you haven't watched my October making plans by the time this video goes up, then I'm asking for folks to choose between this project and a crochet blanket, and whichever one gets the most votes I will concentrate on in October. But regardless, I think, of what the outcome of that poll is, I will get this finished by the end of the year. There's hardly anything left on that one to do, so the McCare Wildflower shawl is going on the priority list. Next project is a sweater project, and it's a pattern by the amazing Sylvia Watt Cherry. If you haven't checked out any of Sylvia's designs yet, you really should. She is the queen of intarsia, but she does have many other types of designs as well. And I started this project as a test knit for Sylvia, but I sadly failed. I think I started it last year, September 2022, and I just ran out of time to get this done. But I'm a good way through the project. So I've knit the back of this sweater. It's a really fun... I've just pulled this sweater out of the bag here, and a piece of sea glass has just popped out of my project bag. That will, Lisa, if you're watching this, I know that will make you chuckle at least, because there's always bits and pieces from the beach in my project bags. It just happens. I take my knitting to the beach a lot and end up picking up souvenirs. So yes, I've knit the back, and I think, did I knit a sleeve? No, I don't think I did. I thought I had, but no. Now the reason I've stopped on this project is because I went wrong on the front, and then I ended up running out of time. So it's a really jazzy kind of like 80s inspired sweater, and it has like a picture of a roller skate on the front. Look at the mess that is this project. And yeah, I went wrong back down here, which you may be able to see. I've started threading my needle through a row to try and pick up where I went wrong. Yeah, I just need to rip back and start that again. So this will knit up fairly quickly because it's a double knit yarn. I'm knitting this in West Yorkshire Spinners Colour Lab yarn. However, I don't think, in fact I know, I'm being ruthless, aren't I? That is not going to be a priority. The pattern has long since been released, so there's no urgency for me to get that finished for any kind of deadline. Next up is my granny square blanket. So I started this last year using some mini skeins that I got in an advent swap with my lovely group of friends, and I'm making 4 granny squares and then edging those with a dark colour, and then eventually I will end up joining them all together. It's not going to get finished this year, definitely not on the priority list, although it might be on my October making list depending on how the YouTube vote goes. Next up is my Brenier sweater, and it's over the other side of the room at the moment for some reason. I have not tucked it back into my little works in progress pile here, but it's a beautiful sweater by Fibre Tales, and this one is definitely not going to get finished this year. I will show you a photo, the texture of that sweater. It's basically got a herringbone texture panel at the top, and then it's plain knitting, and I'm using some amazing yarn from my lovely friend Angie at Thick Skein, who sadly isn't dyeing at the moment, but hopefully will come back one day. I knit the herringbone panel earlier on this year, and unfortunately my gauge was completely off and I hadn't really realised it. I just kept blindly going on, even though in the back of my mind I was like, this doesn't really look right. So I need to completely start that sweater again. That I'm not going to start and finish a whole sweater in the next 3 months, so that is not going to be on the priority list, which is kind of a shame because that yarn is gorgeous. The colour is amazing and I love the sort of simplicity of that pattern. But yeah, I'm not going to prioritise that because I don't think it's going to get finished. I'm pretty sure it's not going to get finished. So next up is the Lunar mitts. Now where are the Lunar mitts? Bear with me while I find them. Okay, this is a pair of little mitts that I'm making from some hand spun yarn. I started these as part of our cast ons last year and I think I'm going to put these on the list. This needle cable is getting right in the way. It's a really small project. They are knit in lace weight yarn, but they are a nice knit. They've got this beautiful lace texture on there. And I think, yeah, I'm pretty confident that with a bit of concentrated effort I could get these done by the end of the year. I need a few smaller projects to go along with the sweaters that I'm adding to this list. Let me see if I can find you a picture. So yeah, Lunar mitts, let's put those on the priority projects list. It'd be nice to get some of these smaller projects off the needles. So that's going to be project number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the priority list. I've only got space for 4 more. Let's see what's next on the Ravelry project list. Okay, heptagon time shawl, which is another hand spun project, another one that I started as part of our 12 cast ons this year, and I've got a reasonable way through this, and this is knit with slightly thicker weight yarn, and this is one of the projects that I'm hoping to add a little bit of progress to this month in October. It's got a sort of some spooky Halloween vibes, hasn't it, with these colours. And so I think that's going to go, yes, that's going to go on the priority list for sure. So that's 7 projects chosen. Can't have that many left now, I'm hoping. Right, next is my Advent mitten garland, which I did so well. I've got a bag behind here somewhere. Which one is it? Is it this one? Yeah, with all of my finished mitts in. So I've got a good stack. What am I up to? I've got 11 there. I was doing really well. My aim was to try and knit 2 a month, and then I fell off the wagon around summertime. Oh, I've got number 13 in here, so that means I must have number 12 in here as well. Oh, I've got 14 in here. So where's number 12 gone? Maybe it's in that bag and I've just not put them in the right order. Let's hope so. So I've got 14 done. Number 15 I'm going to assume is kind of on the needles, although you can see it's been squashed in this project bag for a while. I need to do 24. I've got to put this on the priority list, haven't I? I've really got to, because it would be just so nice to be able to hang up this little garland that I made when December comes around. So the Advent mittens are going on the priority list. So what's that, 8 projects I think on the list now, maybe? I've lost all track. Yeah, I think it's 8. Mid-coast sweater is pretty much non-existent. I made some great progress on this at the beginning of the year, but then I had to rip it all out because the fit was just rubbish. So I think I ripped back, or did I cast on new? I might have even cast on a new. And this is all the progress that I've got now. So there's no way, it's a fingering weight yarn, beautiful yarn from Cartrev, but there's no way that's going to get finished by the end of the year unless I knit on nothing else but that. And you know me, I just can't do that. I can't be monogamous in my crafting. Oh, I've got a gnome which has been on the needles forever and a day. It's a cabled gnome from the Here We Gnome Again pattern by Sarah Shearer, Imagined Landscapes, and I knit this back in July last year. It was part of a Tour de Fleece project that never quite properly got off the ground, but it's on my works in progress list, so I need to knit the body and the beard and the arms and stuff, so that is definitely going on the list. That's got to get finished. I can't have a gnome in progress for like 3 years. That would be just ridiculous. Okay, Okay, we've only got a couple of projects left now. So 2, in fact, it is a couple. So the first is my Scout shawl, which is a recent cast on. This was a cast on chosen by Kate for my August making, I think it was. And I made some good progress in August. It's a beautiful colourwork shawl. So, and you swap sort of different motifs and different panels in. So it's a bit of colourwork, it's a bit of intarsia. It's a really fun knit. But I'm not in a rush because I'm enjoying this project a lot. I don't want to rush through it, and I think, you know, it takes a little bit of concentration. I think there are things that I am going to prioritise over that. So the Scout shawl will not be on the priority list. Which leaves one more project, and that is going to go on the priority list. It's my newest cast on, but also one that I'm a fair way through. And again, this I cast on in August as part of my sort of birthday cast on splurge. It's a Vina Hop sweater, and I'm knitting this from a combination of my hand spun yarn and some beautiful yarn from Cartrev. And I am going to be working on this as one of my October projects. So I'm fairly confident that this is going to get finished in the next 3 months. I'm making it short sleeved, so there won't be sleeves to add to this one either. I think that's a theme with the sweaters that I've chosen. Yeah, I've chosen 3 sweaters to go on the list, and they're all sleeveless, so they're kind of vest tops really. So yeah, Vina Hop will be project number 10 on my priority list. So should we have a quick recap? So sweaters, I'm going to try and finish the Vina Hop, the Astra vest and the sea glass. Shawls, Heptagon Time shawl and the Macaire Wildflower shawl. And then I've got a gnome, my Advent mittens, 2 pairs of socks and a pair of mitts. I reckon I can do that. Famous last words, I guess. In 3 months' time, we will see. I need to try and resist the urge to cast on all the things because I'm going to be doing that at the end of the year. So yeah, this is really trying to get my head straight and my needles clear. I think we've come to the end of the video. I've got a whole pile of project bags here. The gnome is not even in its own project bag. I've got more project bags than I could even hold up to you. Oh, that's just a small selection of them. I'm going to rearrange the mess of work behind me and try and fit these in as a priority for the rest of the year. Please do let me know in the comments below, are you setting yourself some goals towards the end of the year? Do you want to try and get your needles clear, or are you just not really that fussed? You go into the new year with as many projects as you need on the needles. I know, I think it's that sort of September, October, new school year, autumn. I was talking to my lovely friend Angie, who I got to meet for the first time in person, who's over from the US on a visit, and we were chatting and we were both saying how autumn is the time where we feel motivated to sort of do our spring cleaning, if that makes sense, to have a bit of a clear out and sort of get ready, hunker down, tidy up and cozy in for the winter. So yeah, are you in that mood too? Let me know if you are setting yourself some priorities for the end of the year, and let me know whether you think I've got my priorities right. Do you think I can do this, or are there projects that I've put in the not priority pile that you think I should concentrate on instead? I'm not saying you'll change my mind, but you might do. I'm easily swayed, you know me. Okay, I shall say goodbye. Hopefully I will see you for the next video. Not sure which order these will go up in, but there will be something else coming from me soon. There always is, so I hope you will join me for that one. Until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.